Hey, good morning, guys. This is the Recovery Channel podcast. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. I'm coming live from San Antonio and Phoenix.
No, I'm back in Washington next week in Orange County. Like, awesome. I'm like your rover. I'm just roving the country.
Yeah, wherever needed, I'll be.
Right.
So, how's your week gone?
Good. You know what is so cool? Dr. Rob and I put on a coaching certification program this last weekend for recovery coaches. But the cool thing about our program is that we have you look at yourself before you start looking at other people. And it was amazing. It was an amazing weekend. I loved being with all of these people, amazing, amazing human beings. And it was so much fun.
Hey, now, I think what he wanted to create it is not just the run-of-the-mill coaching where you do a couple of hours and get some sort of certificate. We wanted to train the coach to train the clients. So what we do is Jen went back over all the stuff from the past and how they were and how they felt themselves and the being. And it was just phenomenal. There was a lot of people who knew or thought they knew what it was all about, but they really didn't, when we got into it. And that's what we usually find with parents or moms and dads coming on, is when they get on and do the family program, they kind of come on and go, hey, listen, I can't wait to talk about Johnny. And we go, it's not about Johnny. This is about you. And I think it's really important that when we're training people like this, that they do get a full knowledge of where they are and the struggles that they've been through. I think it really makes it authentic when people can come through, because I know being in this industry for so long that people can see through you if you haven't been there and done it, or you stumble when asked a question. So experience really matters. So they're thinking coming on board, do a few lessons with Rob and Jen. Everything's going to be cool. I'll start working as a paid sponsor. And it's not even go there with that. It's much, much more. It's probably one of the best I've seen. And I'm not just saying that. It is.
Well, one of the things that I was just noticing for myself as we asked our coaches what sources them in their life, what really fills up their cup. And one of the things that I realized is that training filled my cup up. Like, that really sourced me to go and feel inspired out into the world.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that was really cool. I really loved that.
Yeah, I do. It's I'm waiting to get into it next week and the week as we go on. I mean, this was just a little bite-size piece what we give you, because we really go deeper. And what I want to say is, first of all, congratulations for that. We have a full house, I think, right now. But congratulations for all those people on that journey, because they're just amazing for taking this. And then secondly, what I wanted to do is, we had a couple of emails and texts, and basically people were saying that they can't commit to the 10 weeks, but they want to learn this module and that module. And you can do that. I mean, Janet Kelly, 214-649-5427. She will get you to them modules. Not sure what the cost is, but it's not the world. Jump into these modules if you want to, if you can't do the full program, because, and again, I'm not just saying this because we put our heart and soul into this, but I think this is one of the best programs around, because it's not just about working with people.
No. And really, one of the things that I've, after having my son and both of my kids in 16 different rehabs, one of the things that part of that is like not all, but some of these rehabs, they're doing more harm than they are good. And because they haven't done their own personal work, they haven't looked at themselves. They haven't seen how their survival mechanisms are showing up, or are they being in their essence? Are they really connected to the heart of who they are? And I think that if they don't know that, we can do harm to people.
Definitely, without a doubt. It's not just about going to school, guys, and then trying to pass it on. If you've not done your own work, and I know a handful of people, and one of the reasons why we pulled away from treatment centers, God bless them, is very rarely do I see somebody who's gone through their own work, come through the other end, back to childhood, all the scene of the crime, come through it all, worked on themselves, and then working with others. I didn't really see that. What I saw was somebody working for a living 9 to 5 and then going out and going against everything they were trying to teach that day from a textbook. It's just what I've seen. I'm not being biased, but it's just what I've seen.
Right. And I think that you really have to bring your experience. I mean, especially people from the addicted world, like, they don't want to talk to somebody that hasn't gone through and done their work and know that like there's something on the other end. They don't want to talk to somebody that hasn't done their deeper work. They want to know that you've been on the streets, done the stuff, and by the way, I've cleaned up the scene of the crime. I've gone back there and I cleaned it up.
So what I wanted to ask Jen, and apologies guys, Zach Brandon was supposed to be on today. I advertised him before. He's not showing up yet. I'm sure there's a good reason. So we're kind of just going into some details about me and Jennifer. But first of all, I've always wanted to ask you this, and it's always slipped my mind. And that is, you are used to coaching professional people, not professional people, black, white, woman, man, it doesn't make any difference. You coach them. But when you come into the addiction world itself, not from your sons, because you haven't actually taught direct to these guys, what difference did you find with alcoholics and teaching non-alcoholics?
Well, so here's what's interesting about what I have found in the coaching world is that they are all sick. And when I say that, I mean that in the most loving way. One of the things that I found inside of my coaching program was that the majority of them had some form of either dependency and or coping mechanism that they use to deal with their pain. And that part of the reason that they were in the coaching program was hoping that they could transform that. But inside of the transformation, guess what? They found out they had to go to AA. They found out they had to go to ACA.
Yeah.
The majority of the people that colleagues that I've worked with, all ACA graduates.
Yeah, I've noticed that lately. I was asked to speak. I met another person in an online meeting, and she asked me to speak. And I was like, oh, okay. So if I've got enough time, I'd love to. And she said, it's not an AA meeting, it's an ACA meeting, which I thought was interesting that she would ask me. But then again, you know, we've been through the ACA work, not as deep as you have. But I mean, the ACA seems to be the daddy of the anonymouses right now, I think anyway. In fact, it's not anonymous, sorry, it's addicted children of alcoholics.
Yeah. Adult
children. Yeah. And I think that's got a lot of stuff in there that, because it also does a 12-step version. And some of the stuff in there is very powerful, especially for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And so while what's interesting is that we would get together and we would do these leader retreats, right? And let me tell you something, the things that happen behind the doors at leader retreats with coaches, drugs, alcohol, you were like, as a new person coming into this program, I was like, wait, what? Like, oh, they are coached. They have some form. What do you say, Rob? There's 3 kind of drinkers.
Yeah.
What are they?
Heavy drinker, chronic, heavy drinker. Normal drinker, heavy drinker, and chronic alcoholic.
Right. So heavy drinkers with probably chronic drinkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that as well. When I was working with treatment centers, I would see marketing girls, especially, and coming on looking all pretty, bouncing from one treatment center to another because they didn't last long. I don't know why. But you would see them people talking to potential clients for the treatment center and boasting of how, you know, sobriety is the way of life. And every night after work, you could see all these getting wasted in the bar next door. And I just thought, surely that's not, it's kind of not do as I say, not as I do. I don't think that works anymore, especially with all the online thing and everybody knows each other's business. Like if you're not genuine, they're going to pull away. And I really think that's why we do so well is you can see, you know, the experience Jen's got, the experience I've got, you know, the other staff that are with us all carry this experience and have done work on themselves. And it's just perfect.
Right. Well, and you know, one of the things that I noticed is that in this world, there's not a lot of respect for the people that may not be the chronic or the alcoholic or the drug addict, right? There's if you don't have that, they're like, whatever. However, what I've become really aware of is that underneath the chronic alcoholic or addicted person is a person that has ACA stuff, adult children of alcoholic stuff. And, you know, I always say that under every addict, there's a codependent. And so I really believe that that is where the deeper, you always say that trauma is really, it's not ever about the drug or the alcohol, it's about the trauma. And so that's really where I come in, or some of the our other colleagues that work for you come in. It's really about looking at the trauma. And if we can get under that, we can get over the behavior of the alcoholic.
Yeah.
I was on a walk yesterday and this guy stopped me and he's like, you used to live next door to the AA house. And I was like, yeah, I did. Of course. And so he goes, I saw that you're doing this coaching program. He's like, I'm really interested. He's in recovery. And, it was so cool to be able to talk the same language. I don't have the same experiences, except for my children and my own bullshit. But it was so great to be in the same conversation. And it was like, I really appreciated the respect that he gave me because I could be in the conversation and he allowed me to be in the conversation without putting me down because I'm not an AA person.
Yeah. Because it's not about the alcohol, not about the drugs, the cake or the porn. What's it really about? Well, it's really about my trauma in the past and the way my brain's been remapped in the past. And now I'm born this way with the addicted brain. And over years and years and years, I often say this to people, what do you want to be? And you go, I don't really know. Remember when we were kids, guys? Remember you went to be a fireman or a nurse or an astronaut? Where did all that stuff go? I'll tell you where it went. Society has smashed it out of you. Family has smashed it out of you. Oh, you can't do that. If you do your work on yourself, you'll find out real quickly that you can do that. I'm a prime example. From homelessness to here, what's all that about? I took no special pill, guys. I just got with a guy who knew what he was talking about and took me to the real work that I had to do on myself and my alcoholism to come out the other end. This is not about just going. If you could go to 100 meetings a day, it won't keep you sober or get you sober. You could go to fellowship all night long. It makes no difference. It will not keep you sober. You need the work. So it's threefold. It's the work on yourself, the fellowship, and then a couple of meetings a week. And that's what will keep you on working with others, obviously, and acting a good Samaritan, all that great stuff, living. But it really isn't about just putting the alcohol or the food or the drug down. You're going to relapse if you just do that. I guarantee you, unless you're the moderate drinker, then you can do that. If somebody says, hey, you're going to die if you don't stop drinking, Rob, and I stop drinking. I'm not an alcoholic, not the real one he talks about. I'm a moderate drinker, and God bless you if you can do that.
Well, and the thing is like we either are working on a relapse or we're working on a recovery. And I say that even in my world. Like, am I working on a relapse? Because my patterns of codependency and enabling and obsessive thinking and all those things are still there. And so where am I? What am I working on? So what are the patterns that I'm working to break so that I'm not going to relapse and go back to the old ways? And I think that's for everyone.
Yeah, I had a doctor who was kind of in my industry tell me once. He said, Rob, let me tell you something. If you're acting out old behavior, guess what? It's not old behavior, it's current behavior. And I thought, wow, that is so true. It's just acting out. No, it's acting now. You have to keep them neural pathways and behavior and thought patterns and everything else that comes through you sharpened every single day. There's some times when I'm driving down the road. I did it the other day. I'm driving. First of all, let me tell you three things that happen. Well, first of all, goes to the meeting. This girl had seen me somewhere, was over the moon. Her and her husband come out, thank me. I give them a free book, signatured, and they went out. They kept texting me. They couldn't believe I'd met me and all that stuff. I get out a lot. Driving home in the car, some guy goes past me at the signal lights, come past again, and he wound his window down. He said, he's in an old car. He said, I'd swap your car for about a week. And I went, hey, you can do that anytime. And he's like, yeah, I have to drive this old thing. And I said, you get to drive that. And he looked at me and went, I do get to drive that. He said, but I can't afford anything else. And I said, hey, listen, I was homeless. This is at the signal light. I'm a homeless once and blah, blah, blah. And you can do anything you want. And his face just lit up. And we both drove off, never seen him again. And I get home and just before I pull in the drive, this girl calls. And I answered the phone. She went, oh, my God, I can't believe it's you. I heard your podcast 10 weeks ago, blah, blah. She was on the verge of a suicide. And I give her an inspirational 10-minute talk because that's what we do. The only reason I can do that is because I've done my work. And I'm going to put on top of that now, Jen, and give you kudos, because when I first met you, you saw a flaw of mine that I'm still working on. But you helped me and sat me down and said, you need to do this, this, this. And I was like, fucking no way am I doing that. You know, do you know who I am? And you persisted, and I did it, and I got well over that, and I'm still working on it. You see, I have to be open, but I'm only open, and this is bad, guys, and I apologize up front. I'm only open for those people who know what they're talking about. So don't come to it any old bullshit going, hey, Bob, take a bath, take a long walk. Don't do that to me. You know, I'm 99% there, and I'll always be 99% there, but I still have to be teachable today.
We all have to be teachable. I mean, that's the beauty of this work that we're in, Rob, is like we all get to be teachable. Like imagine if walking around and we knew everything. How boring would life be?
I used to be like that, but then I realized I didn't know everything. But I like to be teachable, and I like listening to other people talk about the subject of recovery, not even alcohol and drugs, just recovery. And that I never was in that part until I met you. It's like it was alcohol and drugs. And if anything else come along, I got scared. I don't know about, childhood trauma. I've been through my own, and we kind of touch, but I've never been in depth. I mean, I just wouldn't do it. But what you brought on when you came on and we got together was we need to recover from life itself. Whether it be cell phones or drugs or sex or, what isolation is the worst thing for the human being. Well, you only got to look in death row. 90% of people or something, by the time the execution comes, they're crazy, because they spent too much time on their own. So this is, I honestly think two things. You come out of school, you do a program like ours, the classes we're going through now. Secondly, you read the big book. It's one of the most profound writings ever.
Most profound. Most profound. My son, I was talking to my son the other day. He says, Mom, that's the most profound work I have ever read. And he says, I'm still reading more, I'm still young, I'm still learning, but he goes, by far, that's the most profound thing I've ever read in my life. And, and it really is, I mean, that was in 1932.
1938, I started writing it. Back at 37, 38, published in 1939 is what happened. But you only got to look at what they're talking about. And they're talking about not the alcohol. So you could be fully recovered from that, which some people just don't get. Always in recovery. If you're always in recovery, you're doing it wrong, by the way. Or you haven't read the book. Or you're not the real alcoholic and addict that the book talks about. It's okay. I don't mind you doing that. But the book's specific, precise ways to get to recover from alcoholism. And I like that. I really do. But they talk about a psychic change. And people get confused because words have changed from the past till today. So if I say I'm going to see a psychic, people go, oh my God, is she doing cards or is it a crystal ball? So psychic change, psychology, psychiatrist, mind, it's a change of mind. So a psychic change they knew about in 1937, 38, published in 39. 10 years ago, the medical fraternity found out, groundbreaking news, that we could change our neural pathways. So they called it neuroplasticity, how we can change it and become permanent, as in permanent recovery. Oh wait, I was on a stage once with 4 or 5 other doctors, and they were talking about this, and I kept stood there holding this big book up, and eventually they had to come to me. And when they did, I explained these guys knew this in 1939. Why are we just learning this now in the medical fraternity? It was phenomenal, guys. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back. Me and Jen talking about stuff. Welcome back to the show, guys. If you just listen on podcasts and not watching, because that was a great commercial, New Choices Treatment Center here in San Antonio. They're the premier substance abuse facility here in Texas. NewChoicesTC.com. T for Tango, C for Center.com. Call them 726-888-7003. Or if you're local, give them a local call, 210-910-5154. You can email them, info@newchoicestc.com. They really are one of the best around. We very rarely work with treatment centers. We may send some people now and again, but these are the guys that we love. They're our go-to guys. So remember, guys, newchoicestc.com.
Some people know this, some people don't, but my undergraduate is in philosophy. And one of my favorite writers or philosophers is a guy named David Hawkins. He wrote a lot about, economics and math, but also philosophy around a lot of different aspects. But Bill W. was his sponsor.
Oh, no way. Oh, wow. Yeah. And that's what I like about that whole program. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care what you're suffering from, because everyone has got an addiction. But when you read that book, man, it's just phenomenal. First and second edition are public domains, and you can use it how you want to a certain degree. And it's just a great. And I always say, after 20 odd years of schools and colleges and, learning my craft, which is brain science around addiction, that's the best piece of literature I've ever wrote pertaining to the recovery of the alcoholic it talks about. Yeah.
I mean, it's just I think that it's a great way to live your life. And it's a great place to live your life from.
It is.
And I'm not quite sure why it hasn't made it into elementary schools, and we write, the 12 steps for elementary school kids, or, that kind of thing. I don't know why it hasn't made it in, but it needs to, especially today in today's day and age.
Definitely. I think if we change the title to New Way of Living, there'd be in every school and college, because it gives you the tools to live, and it gives you the tools to be kind, and it gives you the tools to make amends whatever we've done wrong. And I've found if more and more people do that, the world will be a better place. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah. 12 steps to living, 12 steps to life.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because it really is about that. It's a wonderful way. Somewhere along the line, we lost our integrity. We lost how to be honest. We lost how to really live our life from a place of deep living, right? You can go out and buy all the cars you want. You can go out and travel all the world. You can have the biggest house in the world. But if you're not living that, you're going to be empty. And that's
I think I've also got experience in that, because when I lived in Dallas, we had some beautiful offices in Dallas. It was in a medical building. It's one of the best offices around Highland Park. And I remember driving one morning. It was sunny morning, and I pulled out the house, and I pulled down this long stretch. And I'm miserable, Jen. I mean, I'm just like, ugh. Got to go here again. Yeah. And when you look from the outside, it was just crazy. The Porsche, the house, the office. I mean, I had the dream life, and yet I was still miserable. And I found out later on I was miserable because I'd not properly done some work that I should have done years ago. So I went back and tried to clear that up. And I say try because I struggle with some stuff today. I'm very hard on myself. The book says that I got to be hard on ourselves. But I'm hard on other people when I shouldn't be. That's their business. But I expect everyone to live to the level and standard that I live to. And that's not possible. And I found that so judging other people and making other people live to here is just not practical. And the more I let go of that, the better. Because I realize today, never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. That's just the way it goes, because my addicted brain wants more and more and more every single time. So if I lose 10 pounds, I want to lose 20. If I get 100 grand in the bank, I want 200 grand. If I buy a Porsche, but I see one better, I want that one. I mean, my wife, I drive my wife crazy. I walk into a showroom or whatever and go, what's the best you have? What the hell's that about?
I love that.
It's more expensive. It's supposed to be better. It's just ridiculous. So,
well, one of the things that I noticed about myself inside of my judgments of other people is the level to which I'm willing to be compassionate with myself is the level to which I'm willing to be compassionate and non-judgmental of others.
I like that. Because if you think about it, we wouldn't speak to other people the way we speak to ourselves. My God, we'd have no friends. It'd be crazy. But we do, And I learned this a long time ago, and it was a demonstration, and this guy got over a pen and dropped it on the floor, and he went, what a stupid idiot. And he looked around the class, and everyone noticed that, and I was like, well, no, not really. He said, I'm a really stupid idiot. I was like, no way. Why did I tell myself? Because me telling myself will lodge in the subconscious brain. And do you know when that shit comes out? Just before that interview, just before that radio thing, just before that girl you've always wanted to date. And it comes out, you stupid idiot. Why are you doing this? You're not, who do you think you are? That stuff comes out. And unless you work on that pre to the girl, the job, the TV, whatever it is, it's going to crucify you, because we all have second doubts, and it will come on and it will take you down if you're not careful.
I know. And it wasn't until I was willing to see myself like, oh, I'm a human being, I make mistakes, or, oh, wow, I've made mistakes in the past, that I was willing to give myself grace. Until I'm willing to give myself grace, I'm not willing to give other people grace.
Yeah.
And that really is, I mean, I have a big judgment. I mean, I grew up in a family where it was like we sat around the table and talked about whoever. It's like, who the fuck were we to talk about whoever? You know what I mean? It's like insane, you know? So, and that's the stuff that we learn from our family. That's the generational trauma right in there. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse or horrible abuse or any of that. That in itself is trauma, is sitting around a table talking about somebody else.
Of course. Yeah. Most people think, trauma has to be big. They call it big T's and small T's. I'm not a great follower of that saying, and I'll tell you why. Because to the alcoholic brain, and that's all I've studied, I don't know about the other normal brain out there. I specialize in that. So what we hear is different, and how we react to something is different. And there's no difference to the alcoholic addicted brain than trauma in the house or warfare in the house or warfare in Afghanistan. And I mean no disrespect to our servicemen, the soldiers over there. I'm just saying the alcoholic mind, when you're in an absolute uproar of a house, you don't know when it's going to kick off. If you're going to die, you're walking on eggshells, and life is a misery. But like Afghanistan, you're walking on eggshells. It could be mines. You don't know when it's going to kick off. It's just crazy. And that mind is different. Like I explained yesterday, so me and my friend, as a young kids, we're both at home. We're both on our parents' chairs. And the parent asks him to get down. And this is what he hears. Johnny, get down off that chair, you stupid idiot. Get down. That's what he hears. What I hear with the addicted brain, because it's been remapped from birth, is get out of that chair. You stupid idiot. That's what I hear. And that's why my brain gets remapped. Hence, when we come to adult or teens and adult, we're never good enough. We never feel we want to fit in,
Yeah. And you know what I really want to ask you, because it came up recently in our some of our work that we do. When people go back and they drive down that old road, they sit in front of that motel, they're waiting for the crack cocaine, whatever that thing is what is it that has them go back to that old place?
Have you ever, or if anybody listening, have you ever got on a bus somewhere, especially as kids, and you all go to the seaside on the bus or wherever it may be, and there's 50 on this bus and you're singing? When you go and do what you do, play the seaside, go to a museum, when you come back to the bus, what seat do you sit in?
Same one.
Same one. Exactly. Same with alcohol and addiction. We go back to the place where we feel comfortable. It's like 9 out of 10 times, I might be giving a trade secret away here, 9 out of 10 times when you're absconding for the police, you go back to your mum. That's how they catch you. Just waiting outside your mum's waiting to turn up, because it's familiar and it's the only thing you know. So when you talk about alcoholics and addicts and the remapping of the brain, it's the only place we know. We automatically want to self-sabotage. After anything that's happened over a period of time, we're going to self-sabotage, because for us, it's that warm, cuddly blanket that mum used to give us. And then also tied into that, and it was just mentioned before, was we get to learn to lie from our parents. So I got to learn to lie from an early age, which my mum was embarrassed, so was I, when I grew up, where we lived. So when she was out on someone doing surveys for windows or whatever it may be, oh, let me do a survey. My mum's a bit of a flirt like me, so she'd sit and talk to them. But when they asked for the address and the phone number, she had to think quick. So she put an address 2 or 3 miles away from us. That was a real nice area. So she told us when we got home, all of us, she gathered the kids and said, if anybody calls from the window place, we don't live here, we live over here, and I'll get back to them. So I was taught how to lie from an early age, and I can do it in an instant. And I had to work on that as well when I wanted to get real with myself, because I'd say shit that wasn't even worth it. You know, it's like walking outside or getting a lollipop. What did you get? I got red because I love red. I had blue. Nobody gives a shit if it was red or blue. But I found myself because I didn't really want you to know the real me. You know, it's like when I in the early days I was drinking, I was pretty wealthy because of the business I was in. But I would go into nightclubs. I used to get outside the Bentley, parked outside the nightclub, and I'd walk in, and all the girls would be streaming around and buying everyone drinks. And people would say, "Rob, what do you do for a living?" I always used to say I'm an astronaut, or I'm that guy on TV with the uniform and mask on. I never used to say, "Hey, I'm a successful whatever, earning whatever." It always had because it was never good enough for people to see. And from there, going to college, I was an imposter. Nobody comes from there to there. So I remember sat down for lunch once, the very first time we all sat down. And there was 5 knives and forks either side, and the forks were getting smaller and smaller, but there were 5, and I was absolutely aghast. I didn't know what to do, but because I was taught at an early age to be vigilant, to look around, I just watched everyone else, and I waited till they picked her up, and I realized it was outside eating in as you came along. But I didn't know that, Jen. So again, I'm this imposter waiting to be busted, and I have nightmares today and thoughts that someone's going to knock on that door and drag me out and say, "This isn't really you. You've made a mistake. You're just pretending to be Rob Kelly," and lock me up or send me back to the streets. And that's work I have to do myself every day.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. So I grew up, my dad was in the Vietnam War. And so when I was a junior in high school, I brought him in to get special education, like to get an extra credit type of thing. And he gave a speak. Well, about a year later, maybe 6 months, I found out my dad wasn't actually in the Vietnam War.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And it was devastating. But what that did was I could keep up alive for a really long time. That is what I learned. But he realized, because I've even before all the training and work I've done, I still was calling people out. So I called him out and I was like, "You lied. It's not true." My stepmom still believes that he threw his Purple Heart over the boat on the way back. Still believes it.
Wow.
It's such crap, right? But he's an alcoholic.
I know.
Raging alcoholic. He never felt good enough for his dad. And so there you go.
And that's what we find as well with families. We had a patient once, and he was in a bad way. You know, we got him cleaned up from the alcohol, but when we went back in the past, we found something really phenomenal, which kind of took my education to a different level because I had to research it. And that was his dad used to be a long distance runner, and he went for the Olympics, and he was a real, not famous, but he made a living out of this. And as he got old, he retired, and his son was about 13 at the time, and he tried to get his son into racing, especially long distance. Right. Anyway, they had a race at school once, and the first 2 got a T-shirt. Number 1 got a T-shirt, number 2 got a T-shirt, but the 3 hadn't, or 4th or 5th or 6th, 7th. So what happened was people were cancelling because of the weather. Anyway, 3 people turned up. This guy, my patient, and 2 other guys. He came 3rd, okay? And he desperately wanted to please his dad. And the rest of his life, he just felt less than and less than and less than. And we figured out in the end that for 20-something years, he's been chasing that T-shirt.
Yep.
When we told him that, he broke down completely. I've never seen a man cry so much on it. It was like a relief that he finally knew why he had to keep pretending to his dad. You know, if he lost his job, he never told his dad. He was always he used to be the manager, but he wasn't. He was sweeping the floors, and it was just crazy. But it was like a relief when we finally, when he admitted it because we suggested it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and like the freedom to be able to go, that's it. I get to say it. I get to finally be free of this. I don't have to do that. My dad hasn't gotten that. And it's so heartbreaking. He spent his whole life like that. And you know, it becomes like a joke in our, it became a joke in my family. And my boys' dad used to be like, "Oh yeah, your dad was in Vietnam. Ha 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 ha." And we made jokes about it, but actually it's really heartbreaking, Rob.
Yeah,
really heartbreaking.
It is. It's like the nursery rhyme that I hate from school. I don't know whether you guys had it over here, where sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true. That's not true with alcoholics and addicts or other. It's not true. You know, somebody could say something that will devastate me, and I'm going to have to go on to my wife and explain to her, and she puts it in real terms where it's appropriate. That's not what it meant. But yeah, words can. You know, I told you guys about that time that John, forget what his name was, John Brown and Phil Brown, there were two patients, didn't even know each other. And John Brown came in and we're doing some work, and he's driving home, and my assistant came in. He said, "Oh my God, John Brown's father's died." Yeah, what do you mean died? He said, "Well, he's been in an accident. He can't get hold of him. He's on a car crash. He's died. He's fatal. He's at the scene now. They're putting an ambulance, but he's dead. But he can't get hold of John Brown." I'm like, "Oh my God." So I called John and I got hold of him straight away. And I'm like, "Look, John, I've got some bad news for you. Are you driving?" He said, "Yeah, I'm driving. It's all right though." I said, "Okay." So I told him, I said, "Your father's been killed in a car crash." And he pulled over the side of the road. He was sobbing so much. He said he'd wet himself and he can't drive because he's too shaky. And he got out the car and he's on the side of the road and he's crying and sobbing and crying. And he couldn't even stand up. About 5 minutes, I put the phone down because I said, "I'll get one of my staff to pick you up." My assistant burst through the door and she says, "Oh my God, Dr. Rob, we've got the wrong Brown. It's Phil Brown, not John Brown." And I'm like, "Holy God, go and sort it. You call the other guy and I'll call John back." So I called John back and I explained to him. And he was very relieved, obviously. And he got back in his car. Now, when I put the phone down, I sat there for a second and I thought to myself, his bodily reaction was words over a telephone. Not real, but he didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But his body. So if I have the power to change someone's being, psychological state, central nervous system with words, what can I do if I'm kind every day?
I know. Like,
once you say, we can't take it back.
No. And you know what comes to mind is that scene in Good Will Hunting where Matt Damon is in the therapist's office and he's with Robin Williams and he's like, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault." And that's all he says.
I use that in my teachings because I've only watched that 4 weeks ago with Janet.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm used to. I watched The Sixth Sense about a year ago, and I'm calling everyone up. "Have you seen this movie?" And they go, "Rob, it was 20 years ago." But yeah, I just saw it. But I do that with people because it's so powerful. Because I say, "Don't speak for 30 seconds. Do we agree?" And they go, "Yeah, okay." And I start saying that, but I do it in different tones. "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It ain't your fault." And slowly but surely you can see. And every one of them burst into tears towards the end. And it's so powerful just with the words, you know, it's phenomenal.
I can feel emotion already coming up in me by you just saying that. Cause it's like, we all need to know it wasn't our fault.
Yeah, definitely. And it wasn't our parents' fault and their parents' fault.
I know.
There's no manual here for raising children, especially if you're alcoholic or addict. You know, they suffer as much as we do and they try the best. But, you know, I truly believe, and I'm 59 right now. But I truly believe that my parents and that generation dropped the ball when it comes to raising kids. Now, I don't know if that's because of the war, the Second World War, or whatever it is, but I think they missed the ball because nobody told me that they loved me. My mom did, sorry. My dad never. Nobody else did. My sister today, when I say I love you, kind of holds back a little bit because I can see it in her. You know, that's the way I've been brought up because that's just the way it is. And I think I tell everybody that I love them. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important because like you just said, we need to hear this stuff. We need to hear the attaboys. We need to hear that we're doing a good job, you know, but we don't hear it because people think we already know. You know, I got a text the other day about the course that we did yesterday, I think it was. It's like, "Oh my God, Jen was amazing." And I said, "Have you told her like that thing I tell about myself?" "Oh no, I mean, God, she's a professional. I mean, God, what am I going to say to her?" If we don't tell people that they're amazing, we don't know because how can we can't be our own yardstick. It's impossible. Just like you can't recover on your own because we never see each other as we really are. And I often tell people, if we could swap places for 5 minutes, all your problems would be over. They'd be over because you don't see what I see. Mm-hmm. And we struggle to get to that point, you know, and when we truly do our work and we find our value because we did a great exercise yesterday with our coaches. Let's come up with at least one client, pro bono, no problems, but at least and a price that you're going to charge. And he kind of scattered her through the whole lot, apart from one or two that were pros anyway. He's, oh my God, how much should I charge?
Right.
The answer is always the same. How much are you worth? Mm-hmm. Why are you going next door to find out what that therapist charges? You're going to be better than that. What do you think you should charge? And when I first came to Dallas, I was charging a fraction of the price that I charge an hour for myself. And I got zero work because we're in Highland Park, that area, Dallas. And somebody came up and said, Rob, you need to quadruple them prices. And I'm like, I can't do that. Oh my God, people laugh at me. But I did. And we got crazy busy because that's just the way it is. Because you believe in yourself. You only see your true self when you take that extra step, when you move to the next level. And all of a sudden you're looking around waiting for people to criticize you, and they don't. They just say you're awesome, and you start feeling comfortable there. So don't rest on your laurels.
And you know what's so funny is that some of our coaches in our training, they called me up yesterday and they were like, we were looking up the names of those other professional coaches. They didn't have any letters behind their names. Where did they get their training? How come they're charging so much?
Right.
Yeah. Focus back on you. Focus on what you want to charge, not what they do, not what they're doing. You know?
I know a sober coach who charges $1,000 a day.
Yeah,
that's his price, and I thought that was outrageous. It's about 10 years ago, and I think I called him up, and after about 25 tries, I finally got hold of him, and that's what he said. I said, "How the hell do you charge $1,000? Is how the hell do I not?" I'm like, "Whoa!" I have to explain that one to me. Mm-hmm. He said, "My value is $1,000 a day. That's it. What's yours?" "Oh, mine's $60 an hour." You know, I was just blown away. It's just like, yeah, it's true. You know. Awesome. Let's go to a quick commercial break from our new choices again, and we'll come back, finish the show, guys, because we've not got our guest on today. We'll give you some information as well about the coaching course you can get on. So that'll be awesome. Back in 2 minutes, guys. Welcome back to the show, guys. Again, New Choices here in San Antonio. They're the premier substance abuse facility here in Texas. NewChoicesTC.com, 210-910-5154. Email them, info@newchoices.com. They really are good guys. So, Jennifer, tell me where people can get hold of this course or anything we need to know right now.
Yeah, the Ultimate Recovery Coach Training. You can find it at recovermecoaching.com. All of our information is on there. What I want you to know is that if you are very interested in this, I want you to get on our waiting list now, because we have 12 spots each session that comes available. And what I want you to know is that this really is the work of, you will learn not only about how to be a coach, but about your life, and about how to really live it from a very responsible, loving, essenced way. And this really is the place to get your certification. And Dr. Rob and I we brought programs together that are just really phenomenal. And I don't say that just to say it because it's us. It really is amazing, amazing work. So we're not only looking to transform your relationship to how you're a coach, but actually transform your relationship to yourself. And that's the difference.
Let me ask you a question, Jen.
Sure.
I want you to be real honest, if you can, because I'm going to be trying real honest. Have you ever seen a program with the information and the teachings that this program gives ever?
No,
me neither.
I haven't. No, I mean, I think this is the thing that makes this so different, especially to become a recovery coach. So really, it's not looking at all of the chemical dependent stuff. Yes, all of that is in there, but it's more. It's really about how you are with people. It's what makes the difference. That is the impact we are looking to have on people. It's not just about, let me show you how to read the AA. No, it goes deeper. and deeper into that. So I have never seen a program like this. And, you know, as a matter of fact, I've had 2 of my colleagues reach out to me, Dr. Rob, who are big in recovery. And they're like, Jen, this is so needed. I am so glad you are doing this. So Recover Me Coaching, Ultimate Coaching, coach training program. And what I say is send us an email, get in front of us, get in front of Janet, and let's talk and get you on the waiting list, because these are going to be sold out. And we're doing 10-week programs.
The other thing I want to add as well, Jen, and honest again, be truthful with us, with the audience again, I'm going to try and be, is if I created a teaching program and went ahead and you created a teaching program and went the opposite way, it wouldn't be so successful.
No.
It's the joint thing that comes together. The way me and Jen come together with this information is like, I don't know the information that Jennifer teaches, and Jennifer doesn't know the information that I teach. And this has all been kind of cool for us as well, because we sit in and listen to each other's teachings, which just strengthens the actual thought pattern around the coaching that, hey, this is the real deal. This is probably one of the best courses you could go to be honest. And if you're not happy, I'll refund your money.
Yeah,
that's my money. I'll refund it. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. That's how confident we are. I'll give you a full refund if you don't, to get to that level, attain that level that you always wanted to. Because this is not about the money. I mean, we're running a business. We have staff we have to pay. But at the end of the day, I don't know about you, Jim, but I'm passing all this information on because I'm 59 and I don't always want to be doing this. And I want other people to succeed in that arena and be just as good as we are. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, is really getting underneath. What is your impact in this world? What do you want the impact to be? And through this program, your impact is going to be there. You're leaving a footprint, and it's going to be a positive footprint. So
it really is, guys. So don't forget recovermecoaching.com. Let's go to 12 Step Radio. We'll be right back after this break to say bye-bye. But hang on, let me play you a friend of ours. So we pride ourselves with being the best podcast around regarding addiction and other things and recovery in general. But our radio show, you need to go to Take 12 Radio, Monty Man. Search for the Monty Man. You'll get all his information. He has a weekly show there. It's pretty cool. Me and Jen was on a couple of weeks ago. He's an amazing guy. It's an amazing show. Take12radio.com. Such a good guy.
Hi, Monty. We love Monty. It's so fun.
We do. So, guys, I think that's it. We kind of come on today just to be present for you guys. And say we wanted to have a great week. Sorry about the guest not turning up. No doubt there's something really bad that's happened, or concerned, because he's not the kind of guy, from what I believe, who won't turn up. So for me, I want to say thank you for joining the show. Oh, by the way, Jen,
yes,
we've just had the highest figures since we've been doing this show.
Oh,
how crazy is that? Just me and you. I mean, it sometimes blows my mind what we do. And it's like, we've had some amazing guests on, but it must be the right time at the right place.
I know.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you for watching us. And from me, I want to say bye. And from Jen,
from me, I want to say have an amazing week. Much love to all of you. Bye.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.